Yo, what's up everybody? The tech world is buzzing and for good reason. Rumors are swirling that Apple, the tech giant known for sleek iPhones and powerful Macs, might be about to make a huge move buying Intel. Yeah, you heard that right, Intel, the chip-making titan itself. This isn't just some minor deal, we're talking about a potential seismic shift in the tech landscape. Imagine a world where Apple controls not just the software and design of its devices, but also the very heart that powers them, the processors. This is next-level integration, folks. We're talking about a potential tech monopoly, the likes of which we haven't seen before. Naturally, the rumor mill is working overtime, with everyone from Wall Street analysts to tech YouTubers, myself included, trying to unpack what this could mean. So, buckle up as we dive deep into this potential acquisition, exploring the reasons behind it, the benefits, the challenges, and of course what it could mean for you, the consumer. Because if this deal goes through, it's going to be a wild ride. To understand why Apple might even consider swallowing up a company as massive as Intel, you gotta look at their recent moves. Remember when Apple started making their own M-series chips for Macs? Yeah, those things are beasts. They're crazy fast, efficient, and most importantly, they give Apple complete control over a critical component of their devices. See, Apple has always been about control. They design the hardware, the software, the entire ecosystem to work seamlessly together. That's their magic sauce. But relying on another company, even one as big as Intel, for their processors introduces a level of dependency that Apple doesn't like. By bringing Intel in-house, Apple could potentially push the boundaries of their chip design even further. Imagine future iPhones and Macs with even faster processing speeds, longer battery life, and capabilities we haven't even dreamed of yet. That's the kind of power this acquisition could unlock. Now, some of you might be thinking, Intel, haven't they been struggling lately? Yeah, they've had their fair share of challenges in recent years, but let's not forget that Intel is still a giant in the semiconductor industry. They have decades of experience designing and manufacturing chips, and their technology is used in everything from PCs to servers to data centers. We're talking about a treasure trove of patents, manufacturing facilities, and most importantly, engineering talent. These are the folks who know how to make chips tick. And Apple, despite their recent success with the M-series, could definitely benefit from their expertise. It's like Apple showing up at a tech garage sale and finding the holy grail of processors just sitting there. Sure, it might need a bit of polishing, but the potential is undeniable. So, we've established that Intel has a lot to offer, but how exactly would Apple benefit from this acquisition? Well, let's break it down. First and foremost, Apple would gain complete control over its chip supply chain. No more relying on third-party manufacturers, no more potential bottlenecks or delays. They'd call the shots from design to production. This means they could tailor their chips specifically for their devices, optimizing them for performance, power efficiency, and even new features. Imagine an iPhone with an AI chip so powerful it could translate languages in real time, or a MacBook that could edit 8K video without breaking a sweat. We're talking game-changing stuff. And let's not forget about Apple's push into augmented reality and virtual reality. These technologies require immense processing power, and who better to provide that than the company that makes some of the most powerful processors on the planet? Section 5, Beyond iPhones and Macs, Apple's enterprise ambitions. But wait, there's more. This acquisition isn't just about making iPhones and Macs even better. It's also about Apple's ambitions in the enterprise market, the big leagues where businesses and governments play. You see, Intel has a strong presence in this market with its Xeon server processors. These are the brains behind many of the world's data centers and cloud computing platforms. Apple, on the other hand, has been trying to make inroads into the enterprise market for years, but their lack of a strong server offering has been a major hurdle. With Intel's Xeon technology under their belt, they could finally have the firepower to compete head-to-head with the likes of Amazon, Microsoft, and Google in the lucrative cloud computing arena. We're talking about a potential shift in power dynamics, folks. Apple could go from being a consumer tech giant to a dominant force in the enterprise world. Section 6, the competition feels the heat, a new tech titan emerges. Now let's talk about the competition, because you know they're watching this potential deal with a mixture of fear and trepidation. Companies like Samsung, Qualcomm, and even Microsoft rely on Intel's chips to some extent. Imagine if Apple, their biggest competitor, suddenly becomes the owner of their supplier. Talk about awkward. This acquisition would give Apple unprecedented leverage in the tech industry. They could potentially dictate terms to their rivals, control pricing, and even limit access to crucial technology. We're not saying they would do that, but the possibility alone is enough to send shivers down the spines of Apple's competitors. It's like a game of chess, and Apple just made a power move that has everyone scrambling to rethink their strategies. Section 7. Navigating the regulatory maze. Will the deal go through? Okay, so we've covered the potential benefits and the impact on the competition. But let's get real for a second. A deal of this magnitude, a tech titan swallowing up another tech titan, is bound to attract some serious scrutiny from regulators. Governments around the world, especially in the US and Europe, are increasingly concerned about the power of big tech companies. They're worried about monopolies, about stifling innovation, about one company having too much control over such a critical industry. And let's be honest, an Apple-Intel merger would be a regulator's worst nightmare. So will the deal actually go through? That's the million-dollar question, and honestly, it's too early to tell. It'll depend on a lot of factors, including the political climate, the strength of the antitrust case, and of course, the willingness of both companies to make concessions. But even if the regulators give the green light, there's another hurdle this potential merger would have to overcome: the dreaded culture clash. Apple and Intel are two very different beasts. Apple is known for its secrecy, its design-centric approach, its almost obsessive focus on the user experience. Intel, on the other hand, is a more traditional tech company, engineering-driven with a more decentralized structure. Blending these two cultures would be like trying to mix oil and water. It's not impossible, but it would require some serious effort and compromise from both sides. Would Apple's legendary secrecy stifle Intel's more open engineering culture? Would Intel's slower pace of innovation clash with Apple's relentless drive for new products? These are just some of the questions that would need to be addressed. And then there's the ripple effect this acquisition would have on the entire tech industry. Intel has partnerships with a ton of companies, from PC makers like Dell and HP to software giants like Microsoft. What happens to those relationships if Apple suddenly becomes the boss? Would Apple continue to supply chips to its competitors, potentially giving them an advantage? Or would they prioritize their products, creating a conflict of interest? And what about companies like TSMC, the world's largest contract chip maker, which currently manufactures Apple's M-series chips? Would Apple continue to rely on them, or would they bring chip manufacturing in-house, potentially disrupting the entire semiconductor industry? These are just some of the questions that would need to be addressed. Now let's talk about what matters most: you, the consumer. What would an Apple-Intel merger mean for the devices you use every day? On the one hand, it could lead to a new era of innovation. Imagine iPhones with mind-blowing performance, Macs that can handle anything you throw at them, and new product categories we haven't even thought of yet. But on the other hand, there's the risk of a monopoly. With less competition, would Apple still be as driven to innovate? Would prices go up? Would we be locked into a single ecosystem with fewer choices and less freedom? These are valid concerns, and it's important to have this conversation as we head into a future where tech giants like Apple and Intel have even more power and influence. So there you have it, folks. The potential acquisition of Intel by Apple is a massive deal, one that could reshape the tech landscape as we know it. It's a story filled with intrigue, potential benefits, significant challenges, and a whole lot of unknowns. Will it actually happen? Only time will tell. But one thing's for sure, the tech world is watching, waiting to see if this potential power couple will tie the knot and usher in a new era of technological advancement or domination. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace out.